be the man who gets drunk next to you. And if I heaver, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who's heavering to you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more.
Hey everybody, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you might be joining us from in the world today. My name is Meg Alexander. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am incredibly excited to get to host another Power to Fly Chat and Learn virtual event. Today, we're going to be discussing why mission-driven cultures inspire lifelong careers with some of the amazing folks from Esri. Now, before we dive in, I just want to really quick give you all a quick peek at our code of conduct here. It looks like a big scary wall of legalese, but truly what it boils down to is just don't act like a jerk, okay? As long as we come from a place of kindness and respect, it's pretty hard to go wrong from there. But if you want deeper information on this code of conduct or anything else, you can always DM me in the chat. You can find my name, Meg Alexander, in the dropdown, or you can write to our help desk inbox. That email is hi@powertofly.com. We're happy to give you any more details you'd like. Now, this is going to give you some basic housekeeping. This will be especially important if today is your first Power to Fly event. And if that's the case, then hi, welcome. We're so happy to meet you. Now, my love is no less real for my frequent flyers. So whether this is your first event or your 40th, thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to spend with Power to Fly and great companies like Esri. Now, the big thing you should know about Power to Fly virtual events is participation. We want to encourage you to do this to get the most out of the time that you spend with us. You can do this in a couple different ways if you want. You are always welcome to turn your cameras on and share your smiling, maskless faces with us safely. But y'all, there is no need to be Instagram perfect, okay? I'm on day 4, I think, of the dry shampoo claw clip brigade. I finally gave up the death grip I had on my messy bun. So, this is where we live. But if you are coming to us from your living room couch or a corner office, it makes no difference to us, okay? We just want to meet you where you are, not stand on ceremony. Now, if you don't want to participate with your lovely face in the chat, that's okay. You don't have to. You can always chime in on the chat as opposed to on the video. If you do want to chime in the chat, I very much encourage y'all to do so. In fact, as we go through here, please feel free to let us know where you're joining us from. I'm coming to you from Toledo, Ohio. This is land that belonged to the Fox, Kickapoo, and Potawatomi tribes in my area. So if you would like to share where in the world you're joining us from, or if you know whose land you're on, please feel free. Now, we are recording today's session as well as live streaming to YouTube. Hi, YouTube. And what that means for all of you is you don't have to take notes. You get to sit back, relax, enjoy the conversation that you're about to see from some fabulously talented people at Esri, and not worry if you miss a resource that was shared or a link or anything, okay? So what's going to happen is in about 4 to 5 business days, Power to Fly is going to email everybody that registered for today's session. So whether you were able to join us or not, as long as you registered, you'll get an email from us, and it'll have a link to where you can rewatch this recording once it goes live on powertofly.com. Now, obviously, I love our website. Our website is where all of our resources live. They are completely free. They are all housed there. But let's say, you don't feel like diving through the website, or maybe you just want to get to this faster. You can always head to our YouTube channel. We're going to be sharing links for all of this in the chat thread as we go. We are live streaming right now, but you can also head over there. The video for today's event is usually posted by the end of the day. And so from there, you can share a link to a friend or a coworker or a relative, and you don't have to wait for that email to hit your inbox. But I like the emails because it's a good reminder of like, oh yeah, I saw that and I wanted to send it to Cheryl or to Lori or whoever. So that's what I very much recommend. You can also head over to our YouTube channel. There is a large selection of some of our kind of best hits are on there, some of our favorite chats. So it's a good place to explore. But truly, y'all, the true motherlode, the real like kind of Ark of the Covenant vibes that we have all of our resources under, all for free, all exists on the website. So I very much recommend that you head over there and check that out. Now, if you have questions going through today's event, I very much encourage you to ask them. We will not be able to let y'all come off mute, but I encourage you to ask in the chat. If you have any questions at any point that you would like me to raise, but you want to be kept anonymous, no problem. Just DM me. You can find my name, Meg Alexander, in the dropdown in the menu, your chat function within Zoom. Now, I do want to real quick go back to our chat here and see where we've got people joining us from. Oh my goodness. All right, Christy's in Lansing. We've got Michelle in Muskegon, not too far from me. Hi. Let's see. Anya's coming from Dallas Fort Worth. We've got Edith in Ensenada, Mexico. Sarah's in Cincinnati. Iman's in Dubai. Alessia's in Poland. Hi, Alessia. Christina's in San Diego. We've got Kelly joining us from Los Angeles. Fort Lauderdale for Jasmine. Hyderabad for Ravati. Oh, I love this, y'all. Thank you so much for joining. I love seeing how far the global audience spreads. Sorry, y'all. Just a girl from Ohio, I get very excited. All right, so very, very excited to get started with today's event. But before we do, I just want to highlight real quick esri.com/careers. So what you're looking at here is a shot of what Esri's website looks like on powerfly.com. This is what their page looks like. Every company that follows or is part of powerfly.com, they all have a page. As long as you're logged into the website, they're all going to have this big pink button that says follow. Okay. If at any point today you hear anything about Esri that really sparks your interest, I would very much recommend that you go to the website and smash that follow button. It's going to do some really cool things for you, but effectively what it does is it works like having a friend who already works at Esri. Okay. You smash that button, it tells Power to Fly that we can keep Esri on your radar. So when they post new roles, we will let you know. When they've got a new event coming up that could be a good fit for you, we will let you know. It also allows us to tell Esri that you are interested in them even before you fill out an application. So it is a really, really great option if either you are curious about Esri, but maybe not actively looking for a new job right now, or you are actively looking, but don't see anything right this second that you really want to apply to. Okay. That follow button does some excellent things for you, but truly it is one of the best payoff on a click that you will probably have on a website for the next week or so. So, just keep that in mind. If you are at all curious about anything else about Esri, this is a gold mine of a page. It'll give you past events. You can take a look at, obviously, jobs that they have listed with us, company insights, all kinds of great stuff exists on these pages. So especially if you think you might go into an interview with any of these companies, I definitely recommend that you check out their company or their Power to Fly page to see what else they've shared with us. All right, now on to the main event. We have several of the most fabulous speakers here to talk to you, and I'm very excited to introduce them. So first up, we have Lisa Berry. Lisa has spent 12 years on Esri's ArcGIS Living Atlas team, where she develops authoritative data sets, tutorials, and tools that help GIS professionals to solve spatial challenges worldwide. She specializes in automation workflows that streamline the integration of geospatial data into the Living Atlas, enabling broader access to high-quality, trusted content. Lisa is passionate about empowering the GIS community through evangelism, education, and intuitive GIS resources. Beyond her work at Esri, she applies GIS in competitive auto racing, using spatial analysis to evaluate performance and make real-time strategic decisions. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything else that you would like our audience members to know about you before we introduce the rest of your fabulous team?
Nope. I think I'm excited for you guys to get to know my team.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. And joining Lisa on stage, we have Laura Krenek. Laura is the head of brand marketing at Esri, where she has spent the past decade building campaigns and stories that create lasting brand equity. With 18 plus years in marketing and campaigns spanning 100 plus countries, Laura has made a career out of championing purpose-driven brands. She's a scuba diver, yoga teacher, and mom, and Laura brings the same values to work that she brings to every part of her life: creativity, curiosity, and connection. She's deeply passionate about helping others discover that the most meaningful work and the most meaningful life are one and the same. Laura, thank you so much for joining us. What else should our audience members know about you today?
Thank you so much, Mike. I think that pretty much covers it, but I'm sure more will come out in the conversation today also. I think we might have lost Meg.
Oh,
all right. And then joining us and rounding out our panel, we have Chris Rice. Now, Chris is the Senior Account Manager on Esri's Southeast State and Local Government team. He supports the Atlanta region. And after 8 years of working for an Esri partner in roles ranging from GIS analyst to director, Chris brings extensive knowledge in GIS software, project management, business development, and local government to the team. Chris has a passion for and believes it's essential to impart knowledge of spatial science to as many people as possible. After all, everything happens somewhere. Chris, I'm very excited to add you to the panel today. What else should our audience members know about you?
I didn't throw any. I play the drums as well. I didn't throw in any hobbies. Lisa and Laura have such cool hobbies, so that's my semi-cool hobby is I play the drums.
I love it. Is there any type of music that's your favorite to play?
Um, Weird esoteric music, but I love jazz. I've been in bands that played like alternative funk music, all kinds of stuff. I just love hitting stuff, really.
My cousin actually just graduated with her music performance degree, and I got to see her
Oh,
drum
amazing.
recital. So I thought it
Amazing.
was, yeah, it was really cool. And as somebody who has no natural rhythm, it was very interesting even for me. So I thought it was really
Awesome.
great.
That's
Thanks,
awesome.
Chris. All right, now we are going to be diving on into our questions today with our audience members. Stop my share. There we go. Questions with our panel. So like I said, if you have questions, if you want to dive in deeper, please feel free to let us know in the chat. Also, I do encourage y'all to be, communicating with other people, networking in the chat, all that good stuff. The one thing I will remind y'all is this is a public event. So I know I am decrepit when it comes to internet years. However, just make sure we're practicing good digital hygiene. Okay. Don't share anything that you wouldn't be okay with showing up on the front page of Google News tomorrow, and we should be good. But if you have any further questions there, please feel free to ask. And if you have questions you want asked, but you want to be kept anonymous, just DM them to me. I'm happy to raise your question and keep you in the know. All right, so to get us started here, I want to start my questions with you, Laura.
Okay.
Let's talk about GIS technology. What is it? How does it change lives? And how does that impact your passion for what you do?
Oh, I love this question, especially with how we started off the webinar today. Meg, you talked about where you're from, and then you invited everyone to share their cities and a little bit about where they're from. I think that really the root of GIS is where, it's location, it's geography. And there's so much meaning and emotion tied to this quite simple concept of where. It really provides context for our connections, our friendships. I'm sure if anyone is a sports fan, you probably have your home team that you root for. It provides context for our memories, like, our childhood home and the maybe idiosyncrasies of our accent or the local traditions that we have. There's just so much emotion tied to this sense of place. And with GIS, I think that you find an incredibly passionate group of people because people map what they care about. And so you see these use cases come forth where people are being bold in a way, just like how the explorers a long time ago used maps to, go off the edge of the known into the unknown and figure out new places. There are all of these amazing people like city planners and emergency response personnel and even business owners that refuse to believe that the way things are right now is the only way it can be. They have this passion and relentless pursuit of better that we get to watch. And that's one of my favorite things and something I'm excited to kind of wake up every morning and see what is the newest use case going to be with GIS. But Lisa, I know you actually came from the emergency response space too before you came to Esri. You probably have some really good examples in your space.
Oh yeah, what's interesting, I didn't actually come from emergency response, but it is actually what started and got the flame behind why I got into GIS and why I am still here and why I will always do GIS as my career, because I ultimately do believe it can solve the world's biggest problems, and everyone's problems are different, and yet it can solve all of them. And it's really interesting because I was about 13 years old and the Grand Prix fire came raging down the mountain towards my family's house. We got evacuated. It was a very terrifying experience, and I think a lot of people in the world can kind of relate to this as natural disasters get more kind of extreme and terrifying. And I remember I got to college, I stumbled upon GIS, and I asked the advisor, what can this do to save the world? And they flat out said, well, not only are there jobs in this industry, but they can help people in ways like helping prevent forest fires or helping mitigate the risks of forest fires, help save people's homes. And that immediately sparked the fire. And I went running into GIS. And to this day, I am excited to, build something that helps support the people who are going out and trying to save those lives, save those homes. I'm lucky enough to be on the Living Atlas team where we're building ready-to-use data sets. One of them is, where are current wildfires? I mean, this is real-time information so that people can make decisions. We have aware apps that people can see where they're at and see, do I need to evacuate? Do I need to send resources to this area? I mean, the everyday person can use GIS, but so can every Fortune 500 company, every city government, every logistics company. I mean, I just love GIS because it truly can answer so many questions, and there's never an end to the questions that we have, and there's never an end to the questions that GIS can help us approach and find answers for. So I'm just a big GIS nerd and I'm all about it. So if anyone ever wants to talk GIS, I'm here. Find me on LinkedIn. Let's talk maps.
We love
Yeah.
to hear it. Okay, I do want to follow that question up. I want to know, especially for people who are such GIS nerds, what is it like to work at a company like Esri? Chris, do you want to start us?
Yeah. Um, I've worked at several different places throughout my career. I actually started my career more on the IT side of things. I was, unplugging mice, plugging them back in, that all that stuff. And but working for Esri's really, frankly, been life-changing for me. I say sometimes I feel like my entire career up until this point has just been an audition to work at Esri. Um, and one of the reasons I love working here is just it's not just like a buzzword, but really our mission of wanting to spread GIS to as many folks as possible across the world permeates every single thing that we do in terms of I can just speak specifically. I'm technically a salesperson, even though I sort of push back on that label. I've never done sales before I worked at Esri, but we're not a standard sales organization. We don't work on commission. Most of our salespeople do not have a sales background at all, including myself. I was, like you saw in the intro, I was a GIS analyst. I delivered Chinese food for my first job. Been a GIS analyst, been a GIS director, worked in IT. But we hire people that just simply love GIS, that are giant nerds to do sales, because really our goal with sales is to help our customers. We're never, ever, ever pushed to sell anything that a customer doesn't need. Our only goal is to solve problems. And I think it's especially great, in my role in local government and this is true for many of us, so I live in Atlanta. I support the city of Atlanta. I live in Fulton County. I support Fulton County. And then also these surrounding cities and counties here in the Atlanta metro, also do some work up in Tennessee. But as you could imagine, every single thing that I do for Atlanta and Fulton County means so much more, because it's like it's my job, but it's also like my volunteer time, right? It's like I get to help my community through my work, and that's a really special thing. And I think that's something that's true for a lot of us here at Esri.
Yeah, I'm sure. Laura or Lisa, I'm sorry, you've been pretty open, obviously, about how passionate you are about GIS. What is it like to work at Esri where it drives everything? It's not just an also have or a nice to know about kind of thing.
I think really this is going to sound very cliche, but it is so true to my everyday life, is that I feel like I'm part of something bigger than myself. The fact that, again, because everyone has a problem that they need to solve. Laura touched on this a second ago. Everyone I work with and every customer that I meet is passionate, they're knowledgeable, and we all share a common goal. And there's something very human about that. That I think just GIS as an industry brings this kind of spark everywhere that you go, every person you meet. everyone wants to share their map. Hey, you want to see my map? Or, hey, can you take a look at this and help me? And everyone is so collaborative. And I think there's something about that collaborative space within the GIS world that it draws people. But yet at the same time, we are again solving problems that are fundamental to everyday life. And it's very fulfilling. It's very rewarding. And so working at Esri is to me has always been a dream. I found GIS. I was like, day one, I will work at Esri. That was the vision board. And like here I am, I am so thrilled and so lucky to be where I am. Um, we have a CEO who has a heart, he gives back to the community. Him and his wife, Laura Dangerman, who helps him run the company. So Jack and Laura, uh, they donated 24,000 acres on the coastline of California for science and education. They care about the world. It's not just numbers and stakeholders. It's about the customer. It's about solving the world. And there's something just so fundamental about that feeling that it makes coming to work far less work to me and more of excitement and energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Laura, I want to turn this question over to you as well. What is it like to work at Esri? We've got a lot of people asking if you could share any examples of problems solved by Esri. Does anything come to mind for you?
Oh, there's so many. Yes. It's so interesting because there's so many disciplines that use Esri's
Right. Yeah.
technology GIS. I started off with talking about like a city planner that believes that the city can be better. We just told a story about one of our customers in Italy that it used GIS to modernize their rail system and look at access for their civilians. So, like, some of these things that we think about it are how close is the nearest hospital to where I am? Where is the closest grocery store? Where are these services that I need? And people are making decisions every day about where to place new services, where to make access easier. And those problems, when placed on a map, when being able to put all of these layers of context around that problem, you're suddenly able to see the solution so much clearer. So whether it is a city planner that's making decisions about where something should go, or a business that's looking at, 5 years from now, where are my next best customers going to be? Where is growth happening? Where are my competitors currently? Which communities are growing the fastest? Those are all problems that are being solved by GIS today. But it's funny because, Lisa and Chris talked about their experience with GIS and that passion for GIS. I remember day one when I applied for Esri, I was Googling what is GIS. I had absolutely no idea. Being on the marketing side, that was my background. My dentist actually told me about Esri and was like, you should apply for this place. It's awesome. I was like, okay. So very random way that I got involved with Esri. And now, a decade later, I'm still here. And I actually was involved in updating the What is GIS page. So very full circle for me. But one of the things that has really struck me about working for Esri is that when you're looking at your career, you often think about, okay, what should my next step be? Where should I go? Is this the right company for me? Should I be reaching higher? And we're often drawn to these like Fortune 500 companies or these massive public companies. And Esri wasn't even on my radar when I applied. It's like this tiny, not so tiny, but private B2B company in this tiny town of Redlands. And now that I've been here, one of my favorite stories is from one of our CTOs on the product team who focuses on AI now. He was actually coming out of college looking for a new job. He applied for this small company called Pixar. And then someone also told him to apply for Esri. And on his way, he was going from like Florida to California. He ends up getting a call, applies for Esri. Never found out if he got a call back from Pixar, ended up just working here. And he said he was just so excited by the fact that he could have so much impact through his work and work with all of the Fortune 500 companies. Like, I think Esri works with over 70% of the world's largest companies, corporations, and yet at the same time be responsible to our customers. Like as a private company, we don't have to answer to shareholders. Our customers are our stakeholders.
Mhm.
And that is a beautiful place to be when you're trying to make decisions of how to improve the technology, how to improve processes, how to show up in a better way for your customers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Okay, you bring up a really interesting point, right? Which is that you want to find, if you're looking for some place to join, or to pivot or whichever, you do want to find some place that you can grow, right? You don't want to find some place that you're going to get there and it'll be fine for like year, two, three, and then you're like, I got to bounce from here. How do you continue to grow as, employees at Esri without growing stagnant or feeling like, you kind of plateaued just because
Yeah.
you're in the same place or doing the same work? Chris, do you want to start us off? You were
Yeah.
nodding along pretty heavily.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just started a master's in urban studies a few months ago, which
Oh, so
Esri
you have plenty of
does.
time.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, exactly. But Esri helps pay for that degree. So we have a tuition assistance program. We offer a ton of internal training. Um, Tons of employee sponsored certifications if, depending on what part of the company you're in, so another cool thing that was very unique to me coming from like mostly working for smaller companies is at Esri, if I want to maybe specialize in urban studies, urban planning, we have an entire urban planning practice. If I was really into water utilities, we have an entire water utilities practice. We have a commercial practice. So, I feel like, frankly, I can't speak definitively of the next 30 years, but I feel like if I feel like I really need a change, I can just go somewhere else in Esri. There's not really a need to go to a different company because we work with so many different types of companies, so many local governments of various sizes. We help with almost every single department a local government would have. There's something for everybody, and we're also highly encouraged to pursue that. There's not like a culture of trying to hold people back. It's really, everybody, there's probably exceptions. I haven't encountered any of them, but everybody wants everybody else to shine. And again, that's like a really rare, special thing in my experience.
Oh, absolutely. Lisa, how about you? When it comes to, the tenure that you've had with Esri, how do you kind of keep from feeling like you're stagnating or like you've kind of like not hit a ceiling, but you know what I mean? How sometimes you hit a
Mhm.
stretch of your career and it's like, okay, maybe I want different. Maybe I want more. Maybe I want other.
Right.
How do you handle that?
What's funny is I have been on the same team for the 12 years I've been at Esri, and I've been asked to join other teams, but I was like, it's cool to know I have those opportunities, but every time I'm like, no, I am just so passionate about this. I'm gonna stay here until that no longer serves me. But I think just to the stagnant question, we are very lucky to be in a tech industry simply because as a GIS professional, the technology is always changing, which means we kind of always need to be changing. So if you're always learning, if you never stop learning and you go in with that attitude, I'm going to keep learning. I'm going to keep teaching myself the new technology. I mean, we have so many different products and different releases all year. I put it into my annual goals to go teach myself something new from each release. Because if I don't, I'm falling behind. I'm no longer relevant. I'm also going to get bored. Let's be honest. There's so much cool stuff that comes out, even on a monthly basis, between the data and Living Atlas, the content with the capabilities within ArcGIS Online, and just the powerful analysis in Pro. It's like I will never stop being excited about, ooh, did you see that thing that someone showed? I really want to learn that thing. And we are so lucky to have all the people who build this right on campus here in Redlands. I can see our development building across the street from me right now. I mean, I can go over there and start chatting with people. Hey, can you show me this? Like, or hey, you should write a blog on this. And I think there's something to that energy and excitement. I think Chris kind of touched on this. It's like everyone is so excited. And like it's like if you show up like, hey, can you show me this? People are usually like, oh yeah, you want to see? And they like turn immediately and start showing you. But I think another just benefit of the GIS industry as a whole within Esri, but is that we do cover so many different topics. I know there's something in the chat just now Laura touched on as well. We are cross-industry, cross-discipline, we're international, there's all walks of life, and it's like there's so many cool people to meet. So between the technology and the people, like there's no stagnant. There's just excitement and energy and more people to meet, more technology to learn. So I'll never get bored of GIS because I can't keep up, let's be honest.
Hey, you had me sold at like, if you ask somebody, they'll explain it to you. Ask a nerd anything about their special interest, and I am no different. My whole face lights up, and I can talk for hours about glitter or dogs or pick something. But
Right.
ask a nerd a question, and you are opening up the most wonderful, can I tell you about blah, 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 blah
Can I show
sentence
you my
that you've
map?
ever had. Yes. Oh, I get so excited. I love it. I love to see it. It's my favorite. It's the only time you see people real excited, apart from like when you ask them what their favorite dinosaur is when you put their special interest. It's the best. Okay, Laura, I want to take this next question to you. This is a heavy one. How can you tell if a company's mission is actually embedded in its culture versus just a lovely statement on the website? I think a lot of us have seen this in practice sometimes, but how do you tell?
So one of the things that I come back to as a brand, someone who specializes in brand, is that there's a saying that goes, your brand is not what you say it is, it's what your customers feel it is. And I think that that is key to it, because there's a few different ways that you can look at it. You can look at the consistency of the people that work at the organization. Are you hearing the same sentiments come from all walks of the organization? Are you hearing consistency in their mission and what they stand for? Are you seeing that play out in their actions? But then also looking at their customers, listening to what their customers have to say in the community. Do they feel that that company really cares about their problems, that that company is innovating, that there's a culture of curiosity and openness? I think that's what Lisa kind of touched on in her comments around why it's so amazing to work with the people that we work with. There's just this inherent culture of openness. I can pick up the phone and call anyone across the company and ask them anything. That's actually one of the things that I keep on my annual review or goals for the year of like, okay, who are the like 3 people that I really admire or look up to? And I just reach out to them and I say, hey, I'm going to set up some time for us to chat. I'd love to have like a mentoring conversation with you. Um, you get that sense when you talk to people who work at the organization. So before I worked at Esri, that was something that I did. I actually reached out to people who worked at Esri and I asked them if they liked it, what they liked about it. And I think you can get a sense of a company by the people that work there.
Oop,
Oh, you're
there we go. I lose my mute button at least once an event, and so now we've gotten out of the way for this one. No, I think that's excellent. And it's absolutely something that I recommend. I've done it at every job interview I've ever had, which y'all, there've been a lot of them over the years. Um, but like that's something I always stand by is like if you have questions about the organization, absolutely ask the person that they have put forward to answer those questions for you. But if you have questions and you ask to speak to a member of like the working parents ERG, or you want to speak to someone who is a part of that team currently, listen not only for like what their response is, like, yeah, we can put you in touch with Cheryl or whatever, but also listen to like how they deliver that response. Would they really rather you didn't call Cheryl and just take their word for it? Or are they like, yeah, you can talk to them, you can talk to Betty, and you can talk to Howard, and those are all great people to hear from. Like this, to me, that is huge. If you are able to talk to somebody at the company and they're like, no, maybe you don't want to. Why? Why don't you want me to? Like your employees should be your best, like, advertisement for why it's so great to work here. So I love that answer. I think that's great. Lisa or Chris, anything you'd like to add here? I know the question was directed at Laura, but like it can be kind of hard to figure out if a company's really walking the walk.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's not an easy way to do it, right? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I learned about Esri from being a customer. So I was able to, now one of my colleagues is my old account manager who, we were working through the licensing and everything, we just became friends. And then, I asked him like, hey, what's it like to work at Esri? And he was very direct and honest. I know in something like this, it can sound like everything's perfect. It's not. We're all human, right? But everybody's trying and everybody wants it to work and everybody loves Esri and loves GIS. So that's like, even when there's bumps in the road, we work through them, we lift each other up. So that's what's great about it. But really, I don't think there's a substitute for um, just asking someone who works there. Ask multiple people because, it may vary depending on what department they're in, who their manager is, there's all
What their
sorts of
commute was like
factors.
this morning.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, just do your due diligence and, go straight to the source.
And Chris, I love that you mentioned the point about having been a customer and then coming here.
Yeah.
I think that that's a trend to look out for with companies. Like if you see that their customers end up working there quite often, like that happens a lot at Esri.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and I mean, I was talking to someone the other day on our industry team, and she was saying that it was just her. She worked for a water utility, and she was a team of one, and she worked with our professional services team. So they were this pair trying to solve this problem in their community, and she felt like they were just this superhero team. And now she works for Esri, and she was literally crying as she's telling me this story. And like you get this sense that the people that you're working with are all in on your problem with you. And then you want to come and you want to join the team too. And that just cultivates this passion that's really hard to replicate. And so if you kind of look at the company and say, okay, are people that used to work with them now working for them? I think that's a really good indicator of a good culture.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other things you can ask about, which never would have occurred to me before I started doing this job and learned a lot more terminology, ask if they have any boomerang employees. Ask if they have anybody that left for another opportunity, location, whatever, doesn't matter. But if they ask if they have anybody that left and then came back, because those people are hugely, hugely knowledgeable about the company because not only were they there, they tried something else and then they came back. So what brought them back?
Yeah.
Because not everybody does that. It's not like every company has a boomerang story. So to my mind, that is always a really good one to ask.
We
Oh
have a
yeah.
lot of
Guys,
that.
y'all, we're having some great questions pop up in the chat. We're not gonna be able to get to all of these, but y'all, I really do appreciate these. I do want to quick highlight. People are asking where to apply. So there are people from the Esri team that are sharing links in the chat. But just so you're aware, if anything that we're talking about Esri interests you, they are going to be participating in our job fair on the 19th. It's a Thursday. Yours truly will be hosting, so come hang out with me. There'll be some excellent tunes, and you'll learn about some great companies in addition to Esri. But absolutely check it out. And then make sure you follow those links that they're sending in the chat. Especially if you apply before the job fair, make sure you come to the job fair. It's going to be one more list that your name goes on. So that way, when these recruiters are looking at who's applying to jobs, they're like, oh, I saw them. So that too. They're also following us on powertofly.com. Like, work smarter, not harder. Let those clicks work for you, y'all. All right, let's keep going here. Okay, so if you are an individual employee, which most of us are, and you want to make an impact, you want to make sure that you're going to find a place where you can actually do something that matters. Why do you think Esri is the place to do that? Lisa, you're nodding a lot. You want to start?
Oh, I love this question because it's one of the things that drew me to Esri in the first place, beyond just being the GIS hub, and I was in GIS. There's something about, like, we've talked about culture a lot, about this, how do I describe it other than if you're open and transparent and you communicate to your manager, not only, yes, we have our day-to-day tasks that we have to get done, but also just about your goals and your passions. There's something very neat about Esri in that I think our CEO and our management knows people perform their best when they do things they love. And so if you communicate well and you say, I am really interested in X or I am really good at Y, the pathways will be opened for you. Yes, you still have to get your day-to-day job done, but there's something about if you communicate with your manager, here are my goals, here are my long-term, my short-term goals, here are the things that I'm really passionate about. A good manager is going to help nourish that, help make sure that thrives. I'd say we're a unique company. I'm in software products. We help build the product itself. There are some cases where if you get your work done, you're also allowed to do these kind of almost pet projects, where if you can justify this is helping promote our brand, supporting users, you're justifying this as this is going to help our customers because customers are number one. I mean, you can kind of follow your passion to some extent. I'm not saying they just let you free and do whatever you want, but I'm saying like we have these unique opportunities within our jobs, but also in training options. And like Chris said, he's got continued education. It's like if you make sure you follow that passion and communicate that passion up the chain, it'll come back to you in other ways. It'll
Yeah.
turn out tenfold. I think Esri has a lot of unique features of that, but I'd say that advice kind of probably ripples out to any company. Communicate well about your passions and your goals. I just think I gravitated towards Esri because everyone I talked to said, "Oh, I do what I love every day. It doesn't feel like work." I was like, "What? I want to do that." But yeah, I think another just kind of note on that, just one last thing is about expanding your own influence. Esri allows you to work across the company. I'm in software products, but I work with marketing. I work with PR. I work with our account managers. I work with sales. I work with tech support. I get to help like work with people everywhere. And it again creates more fulfillment and impact because they let us. They said, okay, well, if you're supporting our customers, like go support our customers because they are number one.
Mhm. I like that. And I think it really speaks to the kind of culture and the kind of environment that Esri tries to create. Because y'all, that's one of my favorite things about people from Esri is that y'all come from everywhere. It is not just like, oh yeah, and we all went to this kind of school and then we all had this sort of degree and then we kind of just gravitated here. The stories are bonkers. And I say that with love because my own is bonkers. So like I really enjoy when you're sourcing this kind of amalgamation of people because not only are you finding people that are just passionate about the work no matter where they come from, but you're also talking to people who are then going to bring those experiences to bear in their work. So you will have somebody who is crazy interested in percussion and rhythm and stuff, but you might also have somebody who's like, well, I come from a floral and fauna background, and what I'm interested in is, the longevity of the ecosystem in this area and how, naked mole rat populations are going to contribute to that. And,
You can use
this is
GIS
the
for
thing.
that.
Yeah, and I'm sure there is. That's why I'm so excited about it. Because like it really does interact with everything. And so you can bring all sorts of lenses and kind of filters to it to then see what else it does. I just love that. I love that y'all are very intent on having an amalgamation, not I don't know how to put it, an amalgamation, not a species, I guess. Like you're trying to create something that is a melange, and I love that. Okay, let's keep moving because I want to make sure we answer some more questions for people. Okay, Esri's mission-driven culture is to support lifelong careers. Now, obviously, we are in an era of frequent job changes. I never once thought I was going to find a job, get there, work for 50 years, get my gold watch, and go home. So, if as people are living in this era of kind of job hopping to, make, find their niche, make more money, or find something that makes them happy, what is it about Esri that really supports the lifelong career as opposed to the job hop? Let's see. Lisa, wait, no, Lisa, you went first last time. Laura, do you want to start us?
Sure, happy to. I think one of the things that Lisa had mentioned was that our CEO really wants people to lean into their passions. I've actually heard him in the back of the auditorium when we had an all hands meeting say across the crowd, if you don't like what you're doing, do something else. Like find what you're passionate about. And, Lisa mentioned she's been on the same team for the entirety of her career here at Esri. I've been on 3 different teams across my decade at Esri. So there is an opportunity to shift and evolve and lean into where your passions are, where you want to grow, and then communicating out that unique value and experience that you bring, I think helps us create something new, something different. And there's this certain mindset around innovation that when you bring all of these people together and you're not afraid to try something new or jump into something that has never been done before, that keeps the work interesting for a long period of time. So yes, I could, jump every 2 years to a different role and try to learn something completely different over at a different organization. Or I could join a different team here at Esri and take everything that I've just experienced and built up and then see if I can solve an even bigger business challenge. And there's something really fulfilling about being able to see that over a long period of time.
I mean, all that and never having to change your parking space. I mean, that's pretty great, right?
There you go. Exactly. And the sense of community, like over time, you just build some really strong relationships when working for an organization, especially one with such an open environment like what Esri has. Some of my best friends, literally one of my best friends that my children calls Auntie works at Esri as well, and I met her through working there at Esri. So you can build some incredible connections when working at a company for a long period of time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, some of my best friends are from waitressing days, and those were super traumatic. So if I had a bestie at a company where we were actually doing great things, oh, that is locked in for life. Yes, like I love that. Chris, how do you feel? When you
Yeah,
think
yeah.
about Esri, do you think of it as supporting a lifelong career for you?
Oh yeah, I mean that's, I told my wife that was pretty much my plan when I took this job was this is kind of the last job I'm going to have ideally. I can't speak as much from experience given I've only been at Esri for I think it's my 3-year anniversary in just a few days actually, but thank you. But I have a lot of colleagues, for instance, my team lead has been with Esri for over 32 years, and you would never guess she cares about GIS more, probably more now than she did when she started. And, she could easily retire. She wakes up every day and she chooses to fight for us, to, put in all this work. Her husband's retired. He's out on the ocean, like scuba diving and hanging out. And like, there's an event. She lives down in West Palm Beach, Florida. She's the coolest lady that you would think she's like this lady that grew up in Florida her whole life, and you're like, that's a little weird. But she's the coolest lady that ever grew up in Florida and spent her whole life there. And yeah, her husband's out like having a ball. Sometimes she'll call in from a hotel room and be like, "What, are you traveling?" She's like, "No, I'm like 5 minutes from my house. My husband is just having a big party, with all his friends, and so I got a hotel room so I wouldn't, so I could focus on my work." And she loves it. She's like, I just love, I don't want to be there at the party. This is my party, and it's genuine. It's not like she's beaten down, like, oh gosh, I gotta do this, So that's really inspiring, and she's certainly not the only example of that. My boss's boss has been at Esri for over 30 years. There's several members of my team that have been with Esri for multiple decades. So I think even as somebody who's only been with the company a few years, seeing that, like, it's not just something Esri says, it's like the
Hmm.
proof is right there, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really inspiring and gives you a lot of confidence that, hey, I can actually, retire here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
No,
would
that's huge.
I would add, Chris, that there's this kind of mental model that I've learned through my time here from individuals that have been here for decades, that it's not about looking for the greener grass somewhere else, but it's about stopping and watering your own grass.
Hmm.
And I think when you have that shared culture of just water your own grass, you can build something really, really beautiful together.
Yeah,
I love that.
well put.
I love that as well. I think that's one of the bigger, one of the more profound things I think I heard in therapy once was that most people think that the grass is greener elsewhere because they're too busy looking at that grass to take
Mhm.
care of their own. And I think that is precisely exactly accurate. I mean, plus, if you are, I mean, let's carry the grass metaphor even further. If you are sitting there and you've got the barest little twigs of like tiny little grass shoots, and you look across the hallway and somebody's got like a very lush green lawn, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about what you're doing so that I can make my grass look like your grass, or so that my grass can grow across the hallway and now it's our grass. Sorry,
I
y'all.
love
I've been alone in my house for way too long. But truly, like that's the kind of energy in a workplace that like it can't be bought, you can't just wave a magic wand and say poof, it's going to work. So I think that is really special when you find it.
Energy is contagious.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, now we've got a little less than 10 minutes left until we need to close out. So I want to make sure that we, give time to all of the questions that we have coming in. Let's see. A lot of people have questions about the interview session. So, all right, let's talk about this. I want to know from each of you, this is a little bit more personal perhaps, but I want to know from each of you, what were you looking for and what did you find when you went into the interview with Esri? Were there questions you wanted to ask? Was there things that surprised you? What should people know about what that experience is like? Whether you went through it 3 years ago or, decades past. Let's see, Lisa, you want to start us?
Oh man, that was 12 years ago. I was determined to work at Esri, so I went in like, I'm gonna do this. But I got some really good advice during the interview process or before I interviewed, which was don't forget that you are also interviewing them. And that was the best advice because I actually interviewed for a different team and got denied the first time. I got rejected from Esri the first time. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me because some of the questions I had for them, I was like, oh, I'm not so stoked about this. This is not where my passions lie. And so it actually it was the universe giving me what I needed. When I got rejected, it was the initial, oh no. But then I pretty much messaged back to Esri and said, yeah, redirect. I was like, is there anything else that you think might be a better fit for me? And they actually had me interviewing on the Living Atlas team a few weeks later. And they flat out said, we don't know where we're going to put you, but we know we are going to put you somewhere because I kept being like, well, what is your 5-year vision for me? Or what is it like on a day-to-day basis working at Esri? And so I went in with like my list of questions. They said, do you have questions? I have 50. Um, and like it seemed so cliche at the time that someone was like, yeah, like ask all the questions. Oh, I came in with all the questions and it really did help me detect so much about the team, the culture. I mean, at the end of the day, do I want to work with those people? Could I spend every day working with that person? Ooh, they seemed a little standoffish, or they seem, this. Again, there are amazing people at Esri. Doesn't mean that, every team is the right fit though. And so I went into it with I will work at Esri, but I also want to make sure I'm doing the right thing for me. And I think that kind of approach helped me detect that the Living Atlas team was the right team for me, and I'm still here 12 years later.
I want to say that one more time, louder for the people in the back. You are interviewing them just as much as they are interviewing you. Okay. So this is what I mean when I say ask the questions about the things you want to know. Yes, we are listening for the answer, but we are listening for how the answer is delivered. Okay. If you're saying, hey, like I saw on your website, you've got a bunch of ERGs. I always go back to the working parents one because it's a pretty good example, but like, could I speak to somebody from the working parents ERG? Well, that's really interesting. We don't actually have anybody that's like leading that just yet, but I mean, sure, we could put you in charge of somebody, if you get the job and blah blah blah. That answer is
Red
very
flag.
different from, we don't actually have a working parents ERG, but if that's something that you're interested in, we should really put you in touch with the HR people because if you're interested in spearheading, I'm sure there's a lot of other people that would also be interested in joining. Then the difference. Are they excited that you asked this question or are they not? Are they eager to give you information or are they eager to get you to another question? These are things you should know because I mean, it's your time just as much as it's theirs, right? All right. Laura, how about you? What was something that either like caught your eye, kind of surprised you in the interview, something you think people should know before they go into that situation?
Sure. So when I applied, I remember being caught off guard with how long the interview process was. And in the moment, I was like, why is this taking so long? This is like, why are you having me interview with so many people? And, I was probably looking at it from a negative lens. But towards the end of that, and then across my time here at Esri, I've learned that that was actually an indicator of they believe that you're going to be here for a really long time, so they want to get it right on the front end. And one of the things that really surprised me the most was when I actually interviewed with Laura Dangermond herself. So she's the co-founder with Jack Dangermond, and she interviews most people who started Esri. Our process is they want to have that final say. They want to get to know the person that's going to be joining their team. And that shocked me, like to have that level of involvement and care from the person who started this organization. Like that's such an easy thing to just offload on someone else, delegate. But they're not going to delegate that because they genuinely care about getting a really good group of people that are going to be able to accomplish something really powerful together. And the proof was in the pudding. Like having her there, having her interview me, was a telltale sign for me. And I think as a lot of organizations are starting to automate their hiring processes, looking for efficiency and how quickly can we get someone through, it's important to evaluate is this still going to be a place that is going to nurture me, looking to have me stay for a really long time? Is this a place where I can grow? Are the processes set up for that?
Okay, I like that. Chris, how about you? Any thoughts that you want to add to this?
Maybe just a couple. I think Lisa and Laura covered it really well. I interviewed twice. Actually, once I was fortunate enough to be offered the job both times. The first time I couldn't accept because I would have had to move and it just didn't work for my life at the time. But yeah, it's definitely, it can be frustrating as the prospective employee that the hiring process is long typically. However, it's like, looking back even 3 years later, it's like, yeah, that was 4 months. It's like really a drop in the bucket. Of course, when you're looking for another job, every day is like, feels like a lot, but it's a drop in the bucket to be somewhere that, you can work for the rest of your life. I mean, so yeah, I mean, several interviews from, my specific experience. I had interviews with my current manager, her manager, and then at least everybody in the state and local government global business development team. Interviews with Christian Carlson, who is our head of state and local government. I also interviewed with one of our heads of global business development, who reports directly to Jack Dangermond, one of our founders. So it's pretty comprehensive, but it was great, and I think it's worth it to invest the time.
I had 2 full-day interviews and a half-day interview, if it makes you feel better.
Nice.
I interviewed on my
Mackerel.
wedding day, so I think I got both you beat.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, I love this. And honestly, like talking to you all I'm hearing a lot of the same things that remind me of when I applied to Power to Fly. I went through a very similar thing where I went through multiple rounds of interviews, and then ultimately they went with somebody who had more experience for the role. It would have been a new role to me. And 8 months later, I got a call saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
we have another role open," and truly never thought that was going to happen. I also interviewed with one of the founders, and was just like, can we keep your number on file?" "Okay, sure." They're never going to call me back. And sure enough, so I absolutely agree, especially when it is a company that is, I don't want to say protective of their culture, but like takes pride in it. I do think you will find that the process takes a little bit longer because they are trying to make sure that, I don't know, how do I say it? You're not trying to recreate what you have, but you're trying to fill a gap. And a lot of, you know what I mean? And you want to make sure that whatever you're filling it with is going to be right for that role. And I think that's wonderful. I think it speaks to a lot of more intentionality around culture, as opposed to we're going to throw all this in a bag and hope it works kind of thing. So I think that's great.
I would say, Mike, that's really important for Esri right now too, because we're at this pivotal moment where we're seeing a lot of some of those, 30, 40-year tenure individuals are starting to retire. And at the same time, I know Chris's organization has 50 sales roles that they're trying to fill this year. And so you're seeing some of that legacy knowledge leave the company at the same time that we're experiencing this explosive growth. And it's really important to all of us that we maintain that culture that we've been able to build along the way. So I think part of that is from the interview process, and then part of it is, keeping that open conversation within the organization too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We are just about at the end of time. So before we leave, I do want to share my screen one more time. There we go. So I want to share my screen real quick so that way y'all can see what I'm seeing. Obviously, this is Esri's company page on powertofly.com. Something that I want to encourage y'all to take a look at. Obviously, overview is going to be important. Events is where you're going to find stuff. Events like today, recordings to past events would be there, that kind of good stuff. But something that I do want to highlight here is the jobs tab. Now, obviously, that is where you go if you are looking to apply. Make sure that if you are applying via Power to Fly, that you complete all steps. So cross all your T's, dot all your I's, hit all your enter buttons, all of the things. So that way to make sure that you are completely, finished with your application to whatever it is you're applying for. Especially since Esri will take part in the job fair in 2 weeks. Okay, so on the 19th, make sure you register for it. It is absolutely free. Even if you cannot come to the job fair, register anyway, because that way your name goes on lists that go in front of the hiring companies. Esri is a fabulous company. They have always done right by us. I very much recommend that you check them out. Even if you were not interested in them before today, definitely check out Esri, okay? The other thing I want to highlight again is that big pink follow button, okay? Third thing about this page, if you think you might go into an interview with Esri, I very much recommend that you check out the About tab as well as Company Insights. Those tabs are where we frequently put content that is produced just for Power to Fly, which means you're not going to find it on LinkedIn. You're not going to find it in Business Insider. So this is a really good way to look for stuff and look for things that you can ask questions about when it comes to the interview that won't be something that was referenced by every other person that saw the same article come across LinkedIn. So just FYI, I think that's a really good thing to keep in mind. All of that to say, I want to say a massive thank you to all of our attendees, whether this was your first Power to Fly event or your 50th. Thank you for coming today and spending time with Esri. Now, you just took an hour out of your life to do something positive for yourself and your career. That is not easy, okay? It's not simple in this day and age. So whether you are a little treat person or not, listen to Meg, okay? Give yourself a gold star, pat on the back, cookie, coffee drink, maybe not Starbucks is all I'm saying. But make sure that you treat yourself, okay? Because job hunting is rough out in these streets. It is very, very, very detrimental to your mental health. And we all know how tenuous that can be sometimes. So take care of yourself, try and take care of each other. And I want y'all to go out and have the day y'all voted for. Now, do not forget, in 2 weeks, we're going to have our virtual job fair. Esri is going to be there. There's going to be some great roles open. So take a look at their website, take a look at their open roles, check out and see what you're interested in, and then show up for the job fair so you can get face-to-face contact with with the job seekers, with the HR team from Esri, as well as some of the amazing other companies that are going to be there with us. So thank you again, y'all. Thank you so much for spending time with Esri and Power to Fly this morning. We are so, so grateful for any and all time that y'all spend with us. And we cannot wait to see you again.